Hello, everyone. My name is Anna Sarman, and welcome to the second day of Summer Sustainability Summit 2024. This is a two-day free online event for architecture, engineering, construction, manufacturing, and sustainability professionals across the construction value chain. We're delighted to have you here to get inspired, get engaged, and get sustainable. The Summer Sustainability Summit is brought to you by OneClick LCA, the global LCA software which for over 20 years has been making the construction value chain sustainable. With it, you can comply with more than 80 national regulations, standards, and certifications. Access the world's largest construction LCA database with more than 250K LCA datasets and over 20 BIM and other integrations to make your sustainability calculations faster and easier. Learn more about us at oneclicklca.com. And before we dive into today's session, we'd love to hear where you're dialing in from. So go ahead and let us know what city you're joining the summit from. City, country, whichever works. Okay, we have someone from UK. Dubai. Spain. Norway. Manchester. Toulouse. Oh my God, so many different cities and countries. So welcome everyone. Now let's start today's session. I'm very excited and delighted to be joined today by Henri Gomez, Senior Vice President at Hydro Building Systems, Lucile Souyri, the Sustainability Manager at Hydro Building Systems, and OneClick LCA EPD and LCA expert Artus Alsins. Today, we're going to discuss European Union sustainability trends and the role carbon-intensive materials are playing in it. This session will offer manufacturers, sustainability specialists, developers, and product specialists valuable insights about the future of sustainability manufacturing trends in Europe. So first up, Henri, tell us more about yourself and your role at Hydro, please.
Hello, everybody. So my name is Henri Gomez. I'm French from a city called Toulouse. I'm working in the Hydro Group for more than 30 years. Hydro is a company making aluminium, but starting at the mining, bauxite, until the end of all what you can do with aluminium. I am leading a division which is in charge of making aluminium solution for the building. So we provide solution to our customer to make window, doors, facade, glazing facade. And we have developed since some years now a very strong strategy to reduce our CO2 emission for the good of the building for the future.
Well, thank you so much. That's exciting. So, Lucille, please share some information about yourself and what do you do at Hydro Systems?
Yeah, so I'm also French, also coming from Toulouse, and I'm in charge of sustainability for Hydro Building System. So we work on a lot of different topics, including, of course, the CO2 emission of our product, of our site, and so on, but also to work on circularity and performance product and so on and so on. So it's a lot of different things, but a very, very interesting topic.
Awesome, thank you. Like, if you wish to learn more about Hydro Building Systems, follow the link in the chat. And Artur, would you like to tell us more about yourself and your role at OneClick LCA?
Sure, yeah. My name is Artur. I'm product manager at OneClick LCA. I'm focusing on the products for manufacturing customers. Role is sort of aligning their development, design, our customers, sales, marketing, kind of in between these. And I've been with the company for 8 years now. Roles, so seen quite a lot of the development of the market and CA as a tool that solves the problems. Thanks.
Thank you guys for your introductions. And now we can actually kickstart the discussion with the first question. So the first question of today is, what is, in your opinion, the importance of sustainability trends and low carbon solutions in manufacturing? And perhaps, Lucille, you could take this one first.
Yes, when it comes to sustainability trends, I think it's not only for manufacturing, but in all different fields of our day-to-day life, let's say, sustainability is becoming more and more important. And anyway, we don't have the choice to change the way we are doing the things that we are doing every day, everywhere. So sustainability, yes, it's becoming more and more important. I will speak about the manufacturing in the building and construction sector because it's where we are evolving at Hydro Building System. So it's becoming a huge trend, so changing the way we are doing things, but I feel like we are still not going as far as we should as a market. So what we know is that today, the building and construction sector represents 39% of energy-related CO2 emission. So there is really a need to change what we do, the materials that we are using, the performance of our building. So it means renovating the old building or the building which are not performant, working on that topic, but also working on all the materials that we put today in our product, so in the building, making sure that they are low carbon. So there is a big trend as well on that topic. So renovation, ensuring that during the deconstruction, we also have a circular flow, let's say, so making sure that all the buildings which are being renovated are going back into new material, so to avoid landfilling or energy recovery. And I would say that today in the building and construction sector, and for the manufacturer of products, it's becoming our main target and our main concern, let's say. Henri, do you have anything else to add on that topic?
No, I think it has been accelerating after the COVID. We have been printing on our market already some low carbon aluminum solution for window and so on, and we have seen a strong acceleration after the COVID. So things have been changing after that. There is a point which is important, is that on the numbers, we know today that when we make a new building, complete new construction, 50% of the CO2 emission will come from the construction itself, and 50% will be 50 years of life. So if we want to decarbonize the industry and the world, the construction itself is a key element now, because the new buildings are very well in performance for energy of the life. For the consumption of light and heating and cooling, we have changed the perspective over the last 30 years by new regulation everywhere. But the CO2 emission as such for the construction is becoming much more critical. As I say, new building today, 50% of the CO2 emission is the construction itself. So it has an impact very short term. And the 50% is 50 years of life, so very different. So this need is more and more visible, and that's why every calculation of CO2 emission become more critical and more requested everywhere in the building industry. So there is a big change. And I think also this type of number is more and more understood now. We are making good building for energy in their life, better and better than in the past. But we have to now think about how we build and how the material we use and everything we use to be lower carbon. So these have been changing. I say it was amazing because we have launched a lot of low carbon product before COVID. I think even 7 years ago we started with low carbon aluminium, but we have seen an acceleration after the COVID. Good or bad reason, but we have seen a big change.
Thank you. Arturs, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think it has been quite over the last 10, 15 years, I think, starting from energy efficiency, then embodied steel constructions, concrete parts, and so on. And now we see more and more the trend towards manufacturing all construction products and so on. So it has really evolved over the years noticeably.
Yeah, that's true, and I really echo with what Lucille said, that it's an amazing trend that sustainability is penetrating all spheres of society and all spheres of life. So thank you everyone for your answers, and we can take the next question now, which is, has the inclusion of sustainable products in construction progressed in the past few years in Europe? That's maybe Arturs, would you like to take this one first?
Yeah, I think it has progressed tremendously over the especially last 2 years, I would say. We have seen, of course, increase in demand for EPDs over longer period of time. But personally, I've seen that in last 2 years, there has been really a push due to regulation, also the market, and like really at the point where it seems that having environmental performance of your products is really the norm. I think the drivers for financial incentives, I think recent years and in future, what our manufacturing customers are, this is really going to be for next couple of years.
So you also have the same thing that after COVID, things have been accelerating. Huh? And
yeah,
we have started to launch our first low carbon aluminium product for window doors. I think now it's 8 years ago, and we have seen that it took a lot of time to educate because when we speak with people about low carbon solution and decarbonization and CO2 emission, it's extremely complicated. So over the last 8 years, we have been spending a lot of time to also educate our customers, which are fabricating and seeing the window, discussing with people in the building industry to explain, because it's something completely new. We have been spending the last 25 years speaking about performance for energy in the building. Now we have to speak about embedded carbon, and it's extremely different. So we see an acceleration. We see some now EPD will be mandatory in Europe for the building. I think step by step over the next 3-4 years. Huh? It's now official in the new regulation of Europe. This will become mandatory to have an EPD for the project. We also have seen that taxonomy now is also coming from Europe. The bank regulation is pushing it to have a type of normal interest rate. You must show that you are making an investment which is green. And this is also about products you are using for the construction, how you are making your reduction of carbon emission for your product. So there is some different things which are over the last 2 years accelerating everything, which is good.
Yes, I would agree both with Henri and Arthurs. What we see, it's really that before in Europe, the main focus was on performance of products, so making sure that the products are performant during their usage phase. So this was really important, and it's still really important. So there is also some push from the regulation coming to renovate the whole building park, which is really important. So we can see also progress on that. But yes, EPD and low carbon solution is also becoming one of the main topic, and something that it's more and more asked, not because it's mandatory, but because there is a switch in the need of investors, of our customers, and so on and so on. So this is really something that we see evolving in the right way in Europe.
Okay, thank
you. Add to that, also data quality has improved quite significantly. If in the past any the LCAs, no customers are demanding manufacturing data, product specific data, and so on. So,
I mean, we have developed our own software now. I think it was 8 years ago to provide the dynamic EPD. So the customer company making a product of window or facade was able to define the dimension, the characteristic of the window, to make the choice of everything about the performance, the static, and at the end, it was receiving an automatic EPD calculation. But this has been a bit complicated at the start. But as you say, it's more and more under control. But we still have there is still some activity to be done there, because there is still some difference in Europe of methodology and database, and we must work. And I hope that you can help us in the future for that to be more aligned and to be more safe. In aluminium, we have there is a different way to calculate, which are most of them more or less official. But one said when you have a post scrap from process, the value of the scrap is 0 CO2. and another one we say only post-consumer scrap have this value of 0. So we still have some area where we have to do some work. We have been seeing that in aluminium, which is a material which is extremely recyclable. So you can recycle aluminium as far as you want, as much as you want over the time. But if it's from process, if it's something you have been on the process, you have had some waste and you reuse it, it cannot be considered as 0. So there is some methodology like making some change. So there is solution at Europe level, how to make it better. So we still have some way to go. But as I said before, it's also about training people, because it's a bit complicated to explain, to train people about what does mean CO2 emission, what it means EPD. And we're doing a lot of that, a lot of time, like you are doing at the moment, which is excellent for the future, I think.
Thank you. That was amazing answers and amazing discussion from all of you. And while answering the previous question, like you mentioned low carbon so often. So the next question would be actually what makes a product, and specifically an aluminum product, low carbon? And maybe Lucile, you would like to answer this one first.
Of course. So first, we need to be clear on one fact, is that aluminium, it depends where and how it is produced. So aluminium, as so, it's not that much, let's say, a low carbon material. If you produce aluminium, so first you've got to mine. When we are speaking about primary aluminium, you have to mine, you need to transform it, and you use a lot of electricity. If you are using coal to produce this aluminium, you can go up to 20 kg of CO2 equivalent per kg of aluminium. So this is what is happening in some countries. Luckily, in Europe, we are using hydropower for most of our aluminium, hydropower or low carbon solution for the energy. So the European average is, of course, below than 20. It's around 8 kg of CO2. So it's 8.6 kg of CO2 equivalent for the aluminium which is used in Europe. But it's still high. 8 kg of CO2 for a material, it's quite high. So still not, let's say, low carbon. To make sure that we are producing low carbon aluminium, there is two different solutions. The first one being to use only green energy and being able to improve as much as possible the smelting process of the aluminium. So at Hydro, we've got one solution which is called low carbon aluminium, or Reduxa. So it's an aluminium with a carbon footprint at 4.0 kg of CO2 equivalent, which is, we are really looking at all the different steps of the production of primary aluminium to reduce even more the carbon footprint. So this is the first solution. The second one is to work with recycled content. So to work with end-of-life recycled aluminium. We know that in Europe, there is a huge renovation wave coming, and then we will have to reuse this aluminium, which will soon be available, which is already available, but which will continue to grow in terms of quantity. So it's really important to reuse this material. And when I'm speaking reusing it, it's not to downcycle the high quality aluminium into a less better quality aluminium. So there is different grade of aluminium. It's really to make sure that, for instance, the products that we are using for the buildings, so the aluminium profile, are back into aluminium profile. And actually, this is what we do. And this is how we can say that aluminium is low carbon, by using renewable energy for primary aluminium, and to make sure that we recycle the aluminium in a proper way and in a circular way. So this is only for the aluminium, but of course, in our window, we've got a lot of different material. So we've got polyamide, we've got rubber, a lot of different things. We've got steel as well for the screw, for the hardware. And so it's not only about the aluminium, but it's really working on this circular way and on recycled content and recyclable content for all the different inputs in our final windows, doors, facade system. So yeah, that's it for me.
That's brilliant. Thank you. Well, I'm just going to ask next questions because I'm still digesting what you said. But what challenges do European manufacturers who offer low carbon solutions face today? I think, Henri, would you like to answer this one?
I think we have two topics. The first topic is that the lowest carbon we lowest carbon aluminum we can have is the one coming from post-consumer scrap. So as Lucie explained, we are changing more and more. We are renovating more and more. We are changing old window, old facade to make new one. And what we see today, this material is fantastically low in carbon if we can reuse it to make a new product. Today, in our own company, 80% of our profile for window doors is like that. The challenge is that most of this scrap of old window is not staying in Europe. Today, part of the waste of aluminium from demolition is going to China and India. And so it means one of the first challenges that is to organize, to have in Europe the ability and the competence and the equipment to recycle the aluminium. And there is a first step, which is about shredding and sorting, separating the different material, and after to make all this material back to the process. We have organized in our companies that job already, but we are probably not too much company doing it, and we have to accelerate. As I say, most of the material live out of Europe. It must stay. So personally, we have our own plant in Luxembourg, one in Spain, and one in Italy ongoing to be built, where we recuperate at 500 kilometers all the old window in aluminium, and we make the full loop to be able to make a new profile aluminium. As you explained, we're not at 20 like in China for profile aluminium, kilo of CO2, we are 2, under 2. And in this plant, what we have organized now, which is on the old windows, there is different material, and we are able to split everything and to make everything recycled. So today we have make the job, and we try to demonstrate to the industry we can go further by recuperating more material, that we are recycling all the components. So today we can confirm that we take all window from the old building to be renovated, everything will be reused, and nothing will be at the end landfill waste. And this is possible, but the industry have to develop, invest more, and to go ahead, and we have to avoid that the waste is going out of Europe. And as I said before, if there is a second point, it's about educating. It's a new topic for the industry, and we are speaking about building. We can speak about a lot of things in the building, but CO2 emission and is a new topic, and still a lot of people to be trained and to understand and competent to develop. And this is probably our second challenge. We are making our company a lot of training, but I still have the feeling every time that we have to do more, and we have to explain another time because it's something a bit more complicated. And hopefully, a lot of schools are now learning, educating a young generation of people for the building can be better for that. But a lot of work to be done also there. But as I say, the first topic that we have to use more the end-of-life product from the building demolition or renovation, and most of this material is going out of Europe, and we have to keep it here. And this have an importance for the industry and the full loop and a full circularity.
On top of education, if I can add something, it's about also communication. So being able to communicate everything that we are doing in our manufacture to reduce our carbon footprint, in the right materials that we are using, and so on and so on. So it takes a lot of time to do life cycle assessment of our production process, but also we also need to work with some of our suppliers to make sure that they can provide us with the right data. So for instance, if we ask a supplier to use recycled content, we need to make sure that not only is using recycled content, but it can give us the proof that is using recycled content, so that we can add also this information in our EPD to be able to serve our customers and to have the right tool and communication for our customers. So it's also complicated because a lot of different actors, they need to work together, not only for our products, but it's even worse, let's say, when we are speaking about working for a whole building. So it's also one of the key topics, I think, for manufacturers working on low carbon solution. It's to be able to not only do things to reduce the carbon footprint, but also to be able to communicate it and to prove it through EPD, for instance, life cycle assessment, and so on and so on.
If I may just give some numbers, because I think it's interesting to speak about numbers.
Yeah,
today in Europe, standard aluminium window, which is going to be installed in your building or in your house, standard dimension 1.4, 1.2 meter high, tilt and turn window with installed, arriving to the building to be installed. The CO2 emission to make the material, the production, everything to arrive to the building is more or less 260 kilo of CO2 emission. So to make this window arriving to your place, this is what we need to have emission we will have. And we have been working on our own product now with some, I say 7-8 years, and we are today, our product, our standard window is at 120. And this has been coming from each material to be reduced one by one. This has been on our own company, all our production, have been all our transportation, all our packaging, and we are working on all the chain to arrive at 120 compared to 260 in the industry. And we have a target to reach less than 100 in the 2 years to come. And we know where we have to act on our energy consumption, I said before, for our own production, for our own transportation, for where we fabricate the window, how to do that. So we're working on each element to be sure we can reduce. And imagine today the window in Europe is at 260 kilo, our window is at 120. If every window will be at this level, if we can reduce the CO2 emission for the full industry of window, doors, facade by half, and then the building in the future much better and needing less carbon to be built today. That's a critical point. So we think it's feasible, and we think industry can do further, can develop further. In our company, we've been a bit crazy to develop more and to accelerate more because it was part of a passion of our organization. But we think the industry will follow, will do more, and we will improve a lot for the future.
It's very interesting. Hydro, of course, has been sort of in front of the manufacturing, but for other manufacturers, also the regulatory complexity can add some difficulty. Right now, there's the carbon border adjustment mechanism, which it's a bit unclear exactly how the emissions should be for manufacturers importing into European Union. There's of course the products regulation where the of performance will stay. Also now global warming potential, but the requirements are constantly changing. And I think for manufacturers, it's one thing about actually manufacturing the low carbon products, but second thing is that they need time to completion and actually rental product declarations. Not quick, I think. Lucile attested the fact it takes time to get the
Yes, it takes more time to get the document ready than to actually do things to reduce the carbon footprint and to have more circular product.
But I think we have been investing on that. I think we have to push the industry. We are probably one of the leader in Europe of aluminium window, doors, facade, and we are trying to make everybody following the trend. And we have a software today. We do everything for the customer, so it's possible. It's a work and investment, and think will change this CBAM, this borders discussion about carbon. I think there is a lot of discussion still ongoing. It will take another 1 year before they decide what to do, but hopefully it will help to think that we continue to reduce CO2 emission, and we don't accept the world to produce low carbon, high carbon aluminium and to develop and to come to Europe. And this potentially should help the industry to think a bit differently and further. So interesting challenge in front, in any case.
Yeah. And one thing that relates to the previous topic of aluminum, it's hard to compare data directly, even if they both have EPDs. The end of life scenarios can be different, and right now most of the building assessment is 1 to A3 stages, so like cradle to gate, where then the end of life is not compared. So in case you have very easily recyclable material, that might not be taken into account. So comparison is also done sort of apples to apples.
But this is about European regulation and difficulty to apply the module D in the calculation, consider recyclability the topic. So while aluminium is a pity because we have the material which has the full recyclability and it's not helping us sometimes. But we are also trying to educate. Today we are providing all the market in Europe using our product. They can plug on the window a plastic sticker with a QR code, and this QR code gives about the window all information about the window from its performance, its EPD, its element for the maintenance, and we give at the end the value end of life. And we say, if you want to change this window in aluminium in 30 years, we can take back the window for X euro. And this value we're going to update regularly every 6 months, because we see that there is in our product more and more product recyclable, and more product we are going to recycle, and they will have more and more value. And they will stay at 300 kilometers around the place where they've been built. So over the next 10, 20 years, this will be very important. So this QR code is trying to also incentivize people to think this product have a value end of life because it's fully recyclable. And we are trying also to push that direction for the future.
That's awesome. That's very nice. Thank you for your answers, everyone. And next and last question I have for you for the discussion is what role do European and EPD-related regulations play in the manufacturing industry? Is it easy for companies to comply?
So I will just start with a yes and no, let's say. So when you know your product and you know that you are trying your best to reduce the carbon footprint and to have your own life cycle assessment and EPDs and so on, it's not that hard, let's say, to create the life cycle assessment of your full window, doors, or facade product. The issue that we have today in Europe is that there is too many different regulations in between the different countries. So we don't have one single EPDs to be able to compare product A with product B. We've got different program operators, we've got different database, and we've got some EPDs which are only for some countries. So for instance, in France, you've got the FDS. In the Netherlands, you've got a specific EPD. In Belgium, it's the same. So let's say that it's already hard enough to have one EPD that comply with the European and international rules. But if you also need to add other documents and to review all of our life cycle assessments to comply with one country specific rules, it's becoming quite complicated for a company to be able to sell its product in all the different countries with all the different regulations and constraints. Henri, maybe you have something to add to that?
Yeah, this is part of the regulation, and we don't have fully under control. And hopefully, with the new construction product regulation, we hope that we will move only on one direction. It will take probably some years, but it should come. But one of the complexity for a company like us, manufacturing of products, is that today we have our, let's call it our technical database, are people creating new product every day, new profile, new accessories. And we have more or less 30,000 articles, which have all of them a definition of the composition to be able to make an EPD calculation, which is different by country a little bit. And for us, the first job, I mean, how can we, for each of our component of a window or a door or facade, being able to define exactly all the composition, where is this coming from, what will be the CO2 emission to make it available for a product. And this is so it's making complexity also at our level. But that's what we can do. And then the regulation hopefully will align step by step to be easier. But the first job today, when we create a new product, at the moment we're working on a new facade generation of, we are making sure that each component we are going to develop, we must be sure about the choice of material we do. We make some choice we have some definition of some material which are more recyclable, less recyclable, more CO2 emission, less CO2 emission, to also push our designer to think each component differently, and to make the choice of what is better for the future instead of normal mechanical performance. So this is the first step, which is for us key, and we have been doing the job already and quite a lot, and we're doing more and more. Then European will help us to hopefully to have a simpler approach. But working with you on LCA, we have been able to attach all our material to a number certified, and to be able to make it visible for different countries as the same with local perspective, but still complexity. But at our level, a lot of work still to do.
I think building on the national regulations, really, and if a manufacturer has thousands of different products and maybe hundreds of them are changing annually, the EPDs very quickly, then different timelines. Sometimes you can get an EPD in weeks. Sometimes it might take very hard to do I think harmonization, the standard is required in the of EPD process. So we are moving direct there to be done, and of course, adjustment mechanism, and that's also important so that we for the e-manufacturer and the manufacturer. So that's the biggest problems right now.
Thank
Yes,
you,
we
everyone.
agree.
Oh, sorry.
I just say we agree.
Okay. I think we'll all agree. And thank you, everyone. That was very insightful and quite stimulating discussion. I think we touched upon quite important topics. But before we pass to the Q&A, let's go through insights. What are the top 3 takeaways from this session that you have? So maybe Lucile and Henri, as our guests today, would you like to share the top 3 takeaways with our audience?
Henri, do you want to do it?
Yeah, if you want. I mean, I think the point on the screen are quite clear because essential to have low carbon solution is fundamental. I think we are really making a lot of effort to communicate with engineering office and architect and investor to help them to find a solution, to give the numbers. And I think if low carbon will be a key topic and the question will have tax more and more on the carbon emission. So it's essential to make the job and to develop further. And so no doubt about this point, essential is clear. And we have to push and all the industry must move. Then for sure, the second point is clear. Also, we have more and more low carbon solution and sustainable product coming to the construction. And we have in our company, we make a lot of work for that, and we see the industry moving, but a lot of other products are moving also. So no doubt, but it's a long journey. As said before, it's we need time. We cannot change our industry one day to another. It takes time, and making calculation precise also take time. So I see it in our own industry, we have to produce a profile. We have reduced our CO2 emission by 3. It took us 9 years. A lot of investment to make it possible. So time is a topic, but we are on the right direction. And then the loss of aluminium, low carbon, no doubt. We have more and more, let's say, our aluminium in our company, and we are making 20% of market share in Europe. 80% is carbon aluminium, low carbon aluminium at less than 2 kilo of CO2. And this is made of aluminium, which is recycled from all window and facade. So it's possible, and it's coming more and more, and the industry is moving to make it more and more available. So I'm very confident for the future, to be clear.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing the insights and takeaways. So before we get started with our Q&A round, you have now the opportunity to book a one-click LCA software demo with our team of carbon experts. You will see a live poll popping up asking if you would like a one-click LCA business team member to contact you to book a demo and get advice about decarbonizing construction and manufacturing. So in case you are interested, just click yes in the poll and we will contact you to set up a call. Okay, I hope everyone had an opportunity to click in the poll, and we can now start with the Q&A. So let's get our first question in. And the question is, Europe has greener products while the US has more product-specific EPDs. What drives this difference? Regulations, lead, EPD providers, or other factors? Lucile and Henri, who would like to be the first one?
I'm not sure I understand properly the question. US has more product-specific EPDs, meaning that they are not. I need some. Maybe Henri, you understood what it's like product in their globality.
No, in fact, I don't know exactly the question, but there is a big difference between Europe and US, no doubt. there is much more regulation in Europe about decarbonization and low carbon in the construction, and the rules are changing. So, and in the US, it looks like there is less regulation about that, and there is more type of incentive, like you write here, the leads, and so it's more certification or regional regulation, which are changing the perspective. But they are late in the US. I'm sorry for that, but when I see the decision we have in Europe and what is coming on our shoulders every day compared to the US, there is a big difference, and they are lagging behind. And it will change because they have been able to make Tesla. They could be able to make a change in the building industry, but they have to make something. And regulation is on the culture. They are pushing regulation which are giving space for a lot of things. So we have a plant now to make our aluminium recycled in the US, and we are. And the first request of low carbon recycled aluminium is pushed by the car industry. So hopefully the building will also come, but they have a culture of more traditional way to build, and they are more stable and more conservative in the building approach than we are in Europe. So it will change also.
Okay.
I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, that was a very great question. Thank you for the question. So let's take another one. Okay. The challenge for manufacturers is the availability of recycled material in large volumes and longer lead times. What is Hydro Building Systems doing to improve these?
So
I think, as I said before, I think, or Lucy and Chamber, but today most of the post-consumer scrap is leaving Europe, and that means that there is something wrong, because it must stay and it must be reused in Europe. For that, there must be the infrastructure to recuperate all the windows and doors and to make them a new material for the new product. And it's quite impressive. I think in my company we have probably we know that Europe have potentially 4 times more material, aluminium, all material available for making new profile from post-consumer scrap, more than 4 times what we know and we are using every day. So all the rest is leaving. So it means that the challenge is to organize the industry to recuperate that. So what we are doing in our company is very simple. We organize our customer will change window or facade. We recuperate the old window and facade. At less than 500 kilometers, we have a place where we have a recycling plant, and we redo aluminium. And we have one, I said before, I think in Luxembourg, for the part of the north of Europe. We have one plant in Spain, one is ongoing in Italy. Probably the next one will come in France or UK. And we organize with our customer, you renovate the building, we take back all the window, and we put them in that circuit to make a full circularity. And we guarantee that the new product is low carbon because it's based on recycled material. And we can guarantee that all the old products which have been dismantled are going to be reused, and nothing will be in the landfill at the end, in the bad waste in the ground. So that's what we are trying to do. Is as I say, it's a time, it's money, but we are convinced and we are pushing as crazy. But at this stage, circularity is a key point for recycling material. Keep it in Europe and take it on board to make it a new aluminium, and we are investing for that every day.
What we work also in our sorting plant is to work on all the other materials and metal that are going out from those sorting plants, to make sure that they are not used for energy recovery, but that we can reuse and recycle them. So we work also with some of our suppliers for them to take back the material, to transform it back and to send it back to us. And it's really important as well, because there is not only the metal and the aluminium. And there is a second topic. As of today, we are investing in one of our remelting plants, which is in Italy, to upgrade it to be able to recycle end-of-life aluminium. So it's also something that we are doing. So it's to work on the availability, of course, of scrap, but to be able to process the scrap, to sort it, and to recycle it. And it's what we should and we will continue to do and to work on.
If I can add one point, because we have started that industry of window in aluminium or facades, so using a lot of aluminium in the building, started very strongly something like 50, 60, 70 years ago. And till now, over the last decade, we are more renovating plastic or wood window type of things. But now we start to renovate more aluminium. We also have a generation of facade which are going to be changed. So the acceleration of availability of post-consumer scrap is going to accelerate fast. And but we must take it back, keep it in Europe and manage it in Europe.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. We have time for one more question. And before that, I need to, Arthurs is experiencing some connection issues, so we won't be directing questions to him. But he is here with us, just in case. And the last question coming from Peter: how can recycling companies reduce the emissions resulting from the recycling of post-consumer aluminium?
So that's one, it's actually quite not easy, but the biggest impact on recycling aluminium, it's the remelting phase. So it's to be able to eat the aluminium. And I would say that it's the biggest emission that you have. So it's the energy that you use. So you need to change the energy that you use to a greener energy. So there is one solution. And also when we are speaking about recycled aluminium, you've got a mix in between in between primary aluminium and post-consumer scrap. So for instance, for our main aluminium, recycled aluminium, we've got 81% of post-consumer scrap and 19% of primary metal. You need also to make sure that the primary metals that you add into your recycled billets is low carbon, so is using green energy also to be produced. Henri, do you think anything else?
No, it's about technology. In our group, I think in the world, plant recycling aluminium, post-consumer, pre-consumer, we have probably 50 or 60. And we are working on how to make this plant better and better and reducing the energy need, which is so we have type of ideal model, and we step by step renovate all our plant to make it moving to the ideal model of energy consumption and reduction of energy consumption. We also are moving from gas wherever we can to electricity. It costs more as a start, but we actually we can produce locally. So we have one of our remelt at the moment in a recycling plant in Belgium have a windmill. So we've been able to reduce energy and we produce most of it with a windmill. So it's a step-by-step process. We have a model where we know we can optimize energy consumption with a better technology, and we roll out in our plant all the time. And most of the plant we try to move with green energy locally. So our plant in Italy, which is ongoing, will move to full electric, and we are looking at green energy production close to it.
And just a last point, we are having a 100% recycled aluminium, which is called Circa 100R. And for this aluminium, the carbon footprint is less than 0.5, so it's 0.41 something. So it means that to recycle the end-of-life material and end-of-life aluminium, it's already really low carbon, let's say. So we are just optimizing to be able to be even better in what we do. But recycling, it's always mean low and really low carbon.
That's awesome. Thank you very much for your answers and our audience for questions. We are running out of time, but this was worth it. So, just as a next point, I would like to encourage our audience to apply for One Click LCA Low Carbon Manufacturing Awards to 2024. You can find more information by following the QR code. Also, we have a bootcamp coming up, so please check out One Click LCA's free sustainability training programs at One Click LCA Academy. And we have next session coming up, which is join MACE, HTA, and Witchcraft Lighting to learn about the critical role of product data to inform better buildings. This is a must-watch session, and you don't want to miss it, so stay tuned. We're always happy to hear from you, and if we would like to contact at One Click LCA, us at oneclicklca.com, or you can also check out our YouTube channel and connect with us on LinkedIn. That was amazing. Thank you, and see you next time.